Hello and welcome to Twillow Talk. I'm Tana Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle Community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy, and I am joined by my beautiful co-host, Jennifer Tchaikovsky. I am a Celtic Shamanic High Priest. What do I do again? I'm a Celtic Shamanic High Priestess. I am an intuitive energy healer, channel, all of that kind of fun stuff. So, Jen, what do you do?
Well, I'm a registered psychotherapist, a certified Canadian counselor, intuitive life coach, do the energy stuff, all that fun stuff.
We do energy stuff is what we do.
Mhm.
So, a big hello to Woo Woo Wonderment. Hey, Kaylee.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for joining us. So we had a big weekend.
It was a big weekend. It was a wonderful weekend.
It was. So we had a big eventful weekend because we were at a show this weekend, which was awesome. I think it went very well, and met lots of amazing people there at the Woo Spirituality Summit. So yeah. So then I have another one coming up this weekend.
Yes.
It's the Holistic Healing
Fair
at the Nepean Sportsplex on Saturday. So that should be a lot of fun too. So join us there. But yeah, we had a lot of events. Like we're getting into spring. The energy is like spring-like. Well, we're almost summer, but it's like that. We're into spring now, you know? And so we've got a lot of stuff happening in the energies too.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. And there was a huge shift. I know we talked about it on Saturday in the show, and I talked about it with a lot of people who were coming through, that there was a huge shift that happened in the energies. And we had shifted a transit on the 3rd, going into the show on the 4th. And so it was a really interesting thing to notice how many people really noticed that huge energy shift from that really heavy energy to this kind of.
It was like, okay,
right?
we can take a deep breath.
Well, and it's interesting because we shifted into gate 2, which is the receptive. This is the divine feminine energy. And so for a lot of us who have been working to really understand what that is, to be the receptive, to bring in that energy, to just surrender and allow, it was almost like, okay, we're good. I could just allow now. Right?
Yeah. But you know, that's really hard for some people though.
Well, and that's it, right? So there's
goes against
many
people's usual.
Well, and that's it. So people who felt that transition but aren't as comfortable in that energy are going to be dealing with dislocation, right? And really feeling kind of out of sorts and out of place. And right, like what do I need to do? I'm feeling, so here's the gate 2, right? And it's this kind of feeling lost or needing to be very regimented in order to feel okay.
Yeah.
Right? So there's it's this beautiful energy in the sense that it's moving us from this place of dislocation into a place of orientation. And ultimately that orientation brings us to unity. Right? And so it's such a beautiful energy. And it's a very grounding energy because this is earth over earth, right? Whereas the divine masculine is that heaven over heaven when we look at the I Ching. So I pulled up both of the cards, right? Because you want to see like this really is different. Earth over earth versus the heaven over heaven, right? So it's receptive, that feminine energy, right? That openness, and the masculine, the very solid and firm energy, right? With the solid lines. And it's really neat, right? Because they're programming partners. Of course they are, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we look at the energies, it's such a beautiful kind of way that they do come together.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that, the creative, which is the one, this is about self-expression, but it's about direction and having to align with the natural cycles. Well, the receptive is being aligned and surrendering to them, and then being receptive to that higher knowing. So you can see that kind of full cycle energy as it comes through, right? And it's beautiful too, because they're both in the G center, but the one comes up to the throat, so it's much more of that powerful exerting energy, whereas the G 2 goes down to the sacral, and it's that life-giving energy, right? So we're in that place now of that life-giving energy, and really being able to, if we're able to allow that innate wisdom to come through us, we can really tap into that, and we can also guide that more primal energy as well, right? But it means working through that shadow of dislocation, right? That, again, that kind of, we talk about that overcompensating, right? Trying too hard, that people pleasing, that need to make everything be what we need it to be in order to feel safe and secure and all of that, right? As opposed to stepping into that alignment place.
And allowing, which is so hard sometimes,
It's so hard.
As humans, we try to control things, right? And of
Mm-hmm.
course we can't. There's always
Yeah.
stuff we can't control. Control is really just an illusion.
Yeah.
So that's where that
Yeah.
disassociation happens, right?
Well, and I love the idea of this orientation, right? Because it's not even about guiding. It's really about orienting. Nap lurking? I don't know if that's a thing, Gerald.
Gerald,
I love it though.
Tried
That
to
means
nap
it's
and not able to,
relaxing.
I'm assuming.
Relaxing listen.
Welcome.
But yeah, just that kind of allowing ourselves to orient, right? And that's about, figuring out, if you think about orienteering, right? It's okay, where's north, where's the sun, the time of day, all of that, trying to figure out, where we are in space and time.
Yeah.
And then orienting and grounding ourselves from there in order to figure out where to go, as opposed to the mind stepping in, right?
So it has a lot to do with our feeling our way too, right? Instead of thinking our way, sort of thing. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Aw.
And I guess Gerald's allowing our words to go into his subconscious.
That works too.
Happy napping.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and I love, then we get into that unity piece, and it's, you go for a hike, and eventually over time you realize that all of the paths come together at some point, right? And this is where we so often want, well, yeah, but I want this to happen, or I want that to happen. It's everything has its purpose to get us to a certain place. And if we fight and kick and scream on this one, another one's just going to come up. And another, and another. Yeah.
It's all about those soul contracts. The soul contracts, if they're there, they're going to come up. So, we just have to go with it to get there. I think part of what I said, I say I think because, I kind of channeled my message on the weekend. So, but I seem to recall a little bit about it, me talking about contracts and how, we can make it easier on ourselves and listen to our guides and go from this spot to this spot, one contract to the other in a straight line, or we can go like this. Right? That's where free will comes in. And that's kind of like that, right? Instead of trying to just go with the flow, which would take us straight from one to the other, when we're trying to control it and think our way through. That's usually when we end up doing this. To get to the next song. Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes we do this, and sometimes we go bong, 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 bong. I've definitely done the ping pong ball machine, the option too.
Yeah, I think I might be an expert at that. Welcome to being human, folks.
Right?
It's all good. And of course, our solar flare system has been quite a a
Yeah,
thing
what's going on there?
over the weekend. So let me just pull this up and share that with you guys. So look what's going on here. So when we look here, all of the stuff in the orange is like one of the highest ones we can get. Look how many we've had. We had one here, an X on this one is Sunday. We had one on Saturday too, I thought. Oh, it isn't showing it here. But we had a couple on Sunday, and then today, look at this. We had an X4 today, right there.
Wow.
X4.4. So it's been quite a day and quite a weekend. So if you look over here, there's Saturday. There's the one I was looking for. So Saturday, there was an X1. And then we had two of these other ones here on Sunday in the X category. And then the big one today. So there's lots, as this is saying, there's lots of sunspots, you know, that's a couple of weeks ago, that one, but there's lots of active sunspots right now. So we're seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. And then if we look at the Schumann today, we're up in the 60s again today, right? So with our baseline usually being 7.8 hertz, we're up at 61. So we're bound to feel that, guys. It's going to happen. We're going to feel it. And so, yeah, that's how it works. We are
a lot of energy.
We are in it. So it's been a crazy time. So those just help give us an indication kind of what we're feeling, right? We often feel like there's stuff happening and we're not sure why. Or we're feeling super exhausted and we're not sure why. You know, I had a lot of people reach out today saying they were exhausted. And yeah, we had an X4. So we're going to be, right? And I'm not sure what time that happened, but where was it? Oh, it doesn't tell me the time on here.
Is it along the bottom?
Early this morning. Yeah, it was early this morning, just before 8 o'clock. That's Universal Standard Time, though, so that's not here in particular. But it takes a couple of hours to reach us, like the effect of it and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think Universal Standard to us 5 hours difference. I can check.
So it would have been in, like, if it was just before 8 o'clock.
Yeah, because human design converts the charts to universal time as well. So it's
I think that's what
4 hours difference for us.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Eastern time zone where we're at.
Yeah. So Greenwich is 5 hours out. Okay.
There you go.
So it would have happened like in the wee hours of the morning. So it would have been affecting us this morning when we got up.
Yeah.
We had a hard time getting up and, you know, all that stuff. So lots of X class because we haven't had them for a bit, right? We've been having a lot of M on and off. But we were quite quiet there for a while, for a few weeks, which is actually more the norm, right? What we're getting like in the last few days is kind of not a usual sort of deal that happens.
Yeah.
But you know, the last 2 years have been like this. They've been really up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
So
lots of changes and lots of stuff happening in the energy.
Absolutely. But you know, I have noticed a difference. Like even with that, the energy feels better to me. Like it's not the same kind of heavy that we were feeling. So I'm really feeling the transit that you were talking about, like that shift. I don't feel as unsettled, I guess, as I was feeling before. What do you guys think?
Well, and it was such an interesting thing, like for noticing that, because leading up to the weekend, like I know there was added stress and everything, at least on my part, because of doing the show and everything, and recognizing like, okay, this is a brand new experience. So there is this kind of like added stress and everything else, but then recognizing that the day of, when actually was going to be the most stressful of all of it, it wasn't. And I was like, wow, okay, all of this that I had been thinking is just like all my, hesitation and worry and all of that. that wasn't what I was feeling, right? So again, just, recognizing in those moments where we're tapped into something else, and we do, and it's what the mind does. If there's anything it can associate it with, it does it, and it
Yeah.
makes it yours. And you're like, oh, right. Yep. That's what's happening right now.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Mhm.
And I actually found that I wasn't, um, like, I didn't have that like unsettled feeling, like I
Yeah.
usually do. Like I've done a fair bit of trade shows and stuff, but like you haven't done a lot of like the
That
speaking
was my
thing.
first time ever doing a trade show.
That's right.
I was
Well,
like, I've never done that.
you've been
I've
with
come
me a
and
couple
sat
of
with you,
times,
but
but
that
you
is
haven't
a
had to do the whole
totally different
table and
experience.
all that stuff, which is, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
thing.
I've done
It's a thing,
speaking
guys. It's a
before,
thing.
but doing a show and had setting it all up, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm getting myself into. But it was fun. It was so much fun.
It was, and the work is really like setting it up and tear down, right?
Mhm.
Once you're set up, then it's just chat
Yeah.
with people and do the thing. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
your booth looked amazing.
Aw,
I
thanks.
agree. I agree. Your booth looked great.
Thank you, thank
Ours was
you.
just covered in crystals, so
Which is also amazing.
well, we managed the energy in that side of the room. It was great.
I'm telling you, I loved our little corner of the world. It was fantastic. And everybody who came into it was like, I like it over here.
The crystals
That
make
was
such a
great.
difference, and then of
Mhm.
course, that. So Jacqueline was with us as well. She's also a teacher with the
Yeah.
Twillow Lifestyle Academy. So the three of us were together, and we kind of did the whole, you know, woohoo around our space and all that stuff. So
Yeah, most definitely.
thank you. I'm not going to post that one because there was lots of amazing people at that
Mhm.
at that show, and
Mhm.
so it was worth the $5 to get in. There
Oh
were
yeah.
lots of things to see, lots of people, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's
I have to say, again, it reminded me of when I got married. I spent the entire time when I did that trying to like see every person and do everything, that I didn't eat my dinner. I didn't like I didn't do anything for me. And it
yeah,
was so funny because this time I wanted to go booth to booth and see everybody, but I was so caught up in what I was doing at mine, I didn't get to. I actually yeah, reached out because I'm looking forward to having the ability to listen to the talks and stuff that everybody had
hmm
done, because it was such an amazing show. And I'd get snippets of it. So anybody who's on who couldn't make it or whatever else, if you're interested in that, I think eventually they're going to be posting it. It's definitely worth it
yeah, yeah.
to check it
It
out.
was fun. It was fun. There was lots of good stuff doing there. I know for me, well, I think you were doing them as well. We were both doing readings at our table. So
Yeah.
when you do that, there's not a lot of time to start moving around.
No.
And if it's busy enough, then you're busy selling your stuff. Like for us, it's crystals, and there's questions and there's all of that stuff as well as the readings. So it's a
Hmm.
busy day. It's a busy
Yeah,
day.
it
So
is.
yeah,
So,
it was good though. I felt quite settled after. Like I didn't, and I guess the energies, of course, are part of that. I didn't feel. I was tired, of course, because it's a lot of energy and whatnot. But I wasn't like, I don't know. I
felt
can't
okay.
explain it. Sometimes I'm like super exhausted and agitated at the end, and it wasn't too bad. So yeah,
We're
it was
holding
good.
the energy.
We were holding the energy.
Shall we do a card for
Yeah,
today?
yeah. Let's do that. That's what we're here for.
All right, let's see what we got. Oh, that one just came right out.
Oh, we're supposed to talk about that. What are we
Mm.
talking about
Oh,
today, Jen?
I love this. Do I surround myself with people who lift me up?
Oh, that's perfect.
Because that's exactly what we were just talking about in the show. Like, we were
It
surrounded with
is.
people who lift us up, and we were able to manage through and felt fantastic at the end.
Absolutely.
The
Yep.
people with whom we surround ourselves determine who we become. Does your tribe fill you up? Do they inspire you? Do they believe in you? Do they help you step into your greatest potential? Today's soul action: make a desire list of the type of people with whom you wish to surround yourself, and clarify if there's anyone in your life who no longer serves you. Can you love them from a distance?
Yeah.
Such an
I
important piece.
I'm super blessed because I'm surrounded by so many amazing people. I really am.
Mhm.
I am so grateful every day. So,
Mhm.
hello, Ocean Garnet. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Mhm.
Nice. Nice. That's
Aw.
awesome. Yeah,
Mhm.
she had 10 amazing people over on her Saturday for a party.
That's awesome.
Hi, Bonnie.
That's awesome. Hello, Bonnie.
Welcome.
Yeah. You know, it's such an important piece. You know, I think that sometimes we get into this place where we think, okay, well, I have to keep this person for this reason or that reason. Or, we get kind of just into our patterns, and that, just becomes what it is. But at some point, really looking at it and going, am I allowing myself to be surrounded with people who lift me up? Right? Like, I love these questions, right? Does your tribe fill you up? Do they inspire you? Do they believe in you? Do they help you step into your greatest potential?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, making
Mm.
me emotional.
Well, it's such an important piece, like, I can think back to different times in my life where I thought I had that,
hmm
right? And the moment that I began to actually step into my potential, I realized, whoa, I don't have that at all,
hmm
right? And had to kind of take a step back and go, okay, this isn't working for me, right? And so there have definitely been periods of my life where I've had what I call like a full wipe, right?
Yeah.
Of, okay,
Okay, these people are
I
not
got to
fitting.
start fresh, right? And recognizing that energy, even when it's really hard, um, was necessary. And I wouldn't be where I am if I hadn't been willing to do as it says here, can you love them from a distance? Can I take that step back and go, okay, this isn't serving anymore. And there's nothing that, pushing is going to do, right? Again, we're talking about now that two, right? That gate two that we're in, that feminine energy of surrender and going, I've done everything I can do.
hmm
Right? And there are times where we do need to try and we do need to push. And there are times where there are bumps in the road and we do have to work things over. But when we get to that place where we're constantly drained, any inspiration is shattered, right? That there's no belief in anything, there's no cheerleading, there's no kind of push to move you along or to help, right? There is this piece where you have to kind of step back and go, I don't know if this is right for me.
hmm
I don't necessarily know what is right for me, but
Well,
this
that's the
isn't
other
feeling
thing. Yeah.
aligned.
Sometimes we don't.
Mhm.
And I'll just say a quick hello to Hypnocy.
Hello,
Hey, thanks for joining
hello.
us. It's also about the other thing about that is that we don't, the thought of pushing people away is a little daunting sometimes. So for
Mhm.
me, I found that it's just been sort of almost like with some of those people, it's been like a gradual, you know, If it's somebody you were talking to daily, all of a sudden it's like weekly, and then maybe it's like, once a month or once every 6 weeks. And then before you know it, it's
Mhm.
like quite a ways between the calls. And for me, sometimes that's easier because you don't have to like have a confrontation or a discussion about it. It's just like it just sort of fades away. And I think friendships do that organically,
Mhm.
and people
Yeah.
in your life do that organically. There's times when that's not the case, of course. I mean, if it's something that is in your daily life, or you're living with someone, or you're, you know, at work, or someone at work,
Yeah.
or something like that, where you have to see them regularly, then you have to have those. But, it's easier
Mhm.
when we don't have to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, and there are times, right? Like I know in certain situations you have to, right? There is it for your own well-being, you really have to. And in other times it's okay to let things just ebb as they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other
It
side of
is.
that too, and I can attest to this because I'm, unless I have something that keeps me going in a connection, right? I have this tendency within myself to just be within my own energy and whatever's really close to me.
Yeah.
So I have to make a concerted effort. And I will do that and I'll be like, oh right, I have to reach out to that person. And then I'll get distracted and do whatever. And it's one of those things where I have to be really like, this is my tribe and I want them in my life. I really have to make sure that I, take that time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, you
Mhm.
do. I think there is the point of good friends being there, even if you haven't talked to them for a long
Yes. Yes, and
time,
I love that because
right?
I'm not the,
Yeah.
it's both ends of it. We seem to be on that piece of, reaching out very periodically, but then that connection when it happens is fantastic,
Yeah.
right? And then it's a
Yeah.
long time again in the in between and to be able to allow for that.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
yeah, Kaylee,
Um,
that's a tough one,
it's true,
right?
because sometimes, like you're saying, whether it's healthy for you or not, um,
Yeah.
like if you put down the ball, will another ball come and take its place, or will you end up with no ball at all? So
Hmm.
I think that we would never end up with no ball at all. Do you know what I mean? That's just not
Hmm.
how the universe works. People come in and out of our lives, but we never end up with no ball at all, right? Because unless you want to, some people want to. Some people are introverts, and that's what they want. But when you're thinking about that, the abandonment stuff, and we'll end up with no ball at all. That's really that uh, when you're stepping into the want
Hmm.
energy, the wanting or needing energy instead of the abundant kind of mindset, right? And we all do that. That is no, there's no. We all have our times where we're like, oh, I love
Yeah.
that,
Well, it's
or
operating out of a fear of loss, right?
yeah,
And that fear can take over,
yeah,
right? And this is where we again try to force something to be what it's not really.
yeah,
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of that picture is us um, being comfortable with ourselves, getting comfortable with ourselves, and being okay to be without that,
Mhm.
right? Being our own
Well, and
cheerleader, like you were saying, right? Being your own cheerleader, being your own um, best friend, sort of thing. Because there's times when we might need to do that for a short period.
also I think that there's a component here where we have to recognize that nobody can be all things for anybody.
Yeah.
Right? And people will let us down and things will go wrong and relationships are not easy and all of those pieces. And so there are going to be times where it does happen. The shoe does drop and you go, well, there it was. right? And we can look at it and go, you know, yep, knew it was going to happen. This was a waste, blah, blah, blah. Or we can go, yeah, we're human. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I still want to work on this connection and hold space for it and see what happens. Right? And if we can do that, then we can embrace our own triggers and our own woundings and recognize why do I feel like that has to happen? Right? Why do
Mm-hmm.
I have to be looking for that? Because also in looking for that, we're missing all the opportunities in the in between when it isn't dropping.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So being able to really kind of find that balance and noticing, our own issues around relationships,
Yeah.
because that's a huge learning ground for us.
Yeah, for sure. And granted, if that happens and it is like a toxic relationship, then acknowledging that and saying, okay, maybe this isn't one that I want to put the work
Mm-hmm.
into, right? If we're in that space. But if it is one and it is your tribe, like what you were describing, then
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones that we want to take the time and work on,
Yeah.
right?
And it's interesting because there are parts of us that we can look at something and sometimes it's really clear, this is my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's like, is it? Is it? Is it? Maybe, right? And we have to kind of feel our way into it, and then we know yes or no. And that happens too. And it's not because, oh, well, if you're not sure, it's not, or anything like that. It's
No,
we all go through our stuff, and we might hit on a really rough day, or when a transit is like not making it for connection, right? Like
that's
there's so
exactly.
many kinds of things that
Yeah.
could be coming up. And so, really kind of noticing where we're at and what's going on for us can be really beneficial,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we talk about in human design, like definition, that defined spleen versus that undefined spleen, right? In the moment, knowing if something is right or wrong for you versus not knowing in the moment and having to take that time. And so, we each have our own way of doing it, and it's not the same for every person.
And that's okay because we're all individuals. We're all
Hmm.
unique.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But getting into that comparison thing is also really problematic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or even, and I love this one. Well, I could do it before. What's wrong with me? It's like
Oh,
nothing is wrong with you.
we
Something
face that a lot
shifted.
as we
It's
get older.
okay.
As we get older, we face that a lot.
Hmm. But it's true. Like there's certain things, like I look at it and I go, okay, there are certain times where we hit a transit, and that transit activates a channel that lights up my sacral. I am not a sacral being. I do not have that energy. But during that time, I am vibrating, right? But that doesn't happen all that often for me because I don't have a whole lot around my sacral to find either.
Yeah,
Right? So when that happens, if I were to then go, well, I could do it last week, why can't I do it now? Or I did it a month ago, why can't I
right.
do it now? Like, well, that was a completely different energy
Yeah,
that I was in. And I'm not in that anymore. And that's okay.
yeah, definitely. And it's that self-judgment thing, right? How can we bring more self-compassion for that
Hmm.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The tribe thing is an interesting. It is difficult sometimes if you're not sure, because you think they're
Hmm.
tribe, but then people have facets that they show at different stages of friendships too, right? So you'll
Mhm.
have like this facet that you show at the beginning, and then as you start to move into a deeper, more, I was going to say intimate, it doesn't have to be intimate in terms of like physical intimacy. I mean like intimate in terms of how much you share and all of that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, the more you move into that, you start to realize maybe there are some fundamental things that maybe aren't quite,
Mhm.
what you would hope for in a tribe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, okay,
Yeah.
here's a comment.
Mhm. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because we know that comparing ourselves to others is a big no-no. And we say all we have to do is compare ourselves to, ourselves yesterday. But that's also a big no-no. Comparing, period, is a big no-no.
It's just it's not a necessity for us to do, and we just end up one side
Mhm.
loses. And if it's a friendship like that and one side loses, then both lose,
Mhm.
right? Because you want win-win in
Mhm.
friendships. Well, we want win-win in everything, but let's be real. We're humans, but
Yeah.
you
Well, and
know,
and going back to that, we have friendships in our lives, and they're not all meant to be forever,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
As hard as that can be sometimes. But
Yeah.
sometimes people, there is that, a what is it, a time,
Oh,
or
like a
a
season.
moment, a season, or a lifetime, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so we have that, and it's really interesting. So when we get into the human design stuff, we talk about fractals and fractal lines. So, just kind of basic crystalline grid, right? That we're all a part of, and we're all on specific fractals. And so we can say, oh, well, I want to connect with that person. But if we're not on a fractal together, it's just not going to work, right? And the more we force it, the more it just doesn't fit. It doesn't flow, right? But those people that we're meant to have in our lives for whatever reason are going to be in our lives,
Yeah. Well, and there's
right?
the thing, like attracts like too, right? So those people that are a similar vibration with you today, maybe tomorrow one of you changes, and then it's not meant to be, right? And so you realize there's this difference, and that it doesn't mean anybody's
Hmm.
wrong in that. It's just that somebody's
Hmm.
changed, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that we
Hmm.
need to say one is wrong and one is right, or one is good and one is bad. It's just a difference, right?
Hmm. I think that even our relationship is a really good example of that,
Yeah,
because we met and we knew we were going to do stuff together, but then we
yeah,
didn't talk or see each other again for quite a while.
it's
And
true.
then we got brought back together again.
Yeah,
And we were like, okay, yeah, we're definitely going to be doing something together. But the timing still wasn't quite right. And so there was another, kind of divide for a little bit. And then you know what I mean? And so it
yeah.
wasn't until that timing was correct that all of, everything started to
All
flow.
of this
And
started
that's
to flow.
okay.
Well, and sometimes that happens because you need that.
Yeah.
I think that like we both needed to sort of know each other a little bit, like even those little
Mhm.
pieces, right? Because we went for coffee the first time, and then there was a space. We went for coffee again, so it was like we both needed those sort of
Mhm.
little bits, and then
Yeah.
to process before we came back together,
Hmm.
and then it was very obvious to both of us what we were meant to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
so sometimes relationships are fascinating like that. They
Yeah.
don't, yeah.
Yeah.
And both of us just were like went with the flow. There was no, well, certainly not.
Hmm.
I don't think there was for you. There was certainly wasn't for me. It was just like, oh, hello again.
Yeah. There's something here. Yep.
Let's talk
Yep,
about
there
that.
is. Okay.
What do we ever talk
All
about?
right. See ya.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Sometimes the past comes back to show you why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Mm-hmm.
Kaylee says she gets more sassy as she gets to know somebody. Comfortable, so more outspoken. Absolutely. I think most of us kind of do that sort of thing, right? We all have
Mm-hmm.
like a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a mask, but like a veil that you kind of keep there until you start to, because you kind of dip your toe into, okay, I'm going to say this.
Yeah, some
Okay,
people are
she's
more
not freaking
filtered than
out.
others.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. Okay, still not freaking out. That's good. All right. Okay, maybe I can be the crazy me. So then you say something totally outrageous to just to test the waters, and they laugh
Mhm.
hysterically, just like you're laughing hysterically, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Jen talks about the spiral. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Circle versus the spiral. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful thing because if we can recognize that each time we come back to something, we're coming back to it, but we're coming back to it at a different spot, right? And then we go through and then we come back to it, but then we're coming back to it at another spot, right? And so it's even though we're coming back, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm coming back, but wow, I'm getting a little bit deeper, right? I'm going a little bit further
And we're a little bit different each time,
into it. Yeah.
right? Because even if you look at our friendship, we were a little bit different each time we met,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. And we each needed to be at a particular place in our journey in order for it to be what it was meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it was a really interesting thing, even noticing, that kind of dynamic and stuff. So it's beautiful when we can again watch it, right? And be receptive and be in that energy of allowing something to be.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps the tribe to come to you as
Yeah.
well, right? And I can look back at relationships that I really just I wanted to make them happen, and in the end they didn't end up being. They were there for a time and they taught me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't end up being that connection, right? And I think it's all okay,
Yeah. It just
right?
happens. I wonder if
I think
ideas, what
about
a big part they played in our friendship.
yeah, right.
We
Well,
met
and
in
I'm even
IKEA
thinking about
because she had young children at the time, and so it was a great place for us to meet, and the kids could play in the ballroom.
oh, because they could play, yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. Well, we met at a networking thing, and then
we
we
did, but the coffees
and
were
then
at
we
IKEA.
decided to meet up for IKEA. Yeah, it was fantastic. Oh, IKEA.
It's awesome.
Hmm. But it's interesting too, right? Because like the show's another example of it where
Mhm.
we talk to people, but we haven't actually connected. And there's been people that I've talked about you with, and people that you've talked about me with, and then we actually were able to like connect, and it was like, oh, this is great, like
Yeah,
this has been something that's needed to happen. And but no pushing for it, it just was naturally like, oh, look, this person showed up, here, meet this person.
yeah, yeah. You just
Hmm.
put it out, right? You put the energy out, and people show when they're meant to.
Yeah.
Kaylee, Kaylee teases me about having what's it called? A bat light. Like Batman. She says I have a bat light, and I just put it out there, and people come.
So wait, is
I
it
don't
like,
really, folks. I really don't have a bat light, but that's what she says. Oh,
but
bat
it's you
signal. Thank you.
shine,
That's the term I was looking for.
but you shine your light and people come to that,
Yeah,
right?
and
And
that's what everybody
that's the
does.
beauty of it. Hmm.
Yes, you did say that. That was at the post show party on Friday.
You guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is community unfolding for all of you, right? Like we're we're kind of in this stage now where life is different for everybody. And even if things are opening and unfolding again, like community now, I mean, we've talked about it on the show often, right? Is, having community with all of you and being able to have that connection and seeing you guys each week, even if we're not seeing you, but like being able to connect and share that energy and share and hold space. And, like how are you all finding, having community, having these people around you who fill you up, inspire you, believe in you, right? And see and help you move into your greatest potential. Like, how do you feel the energy around that has been going? And what kind of holds you back or gets in the way?
Mm-hmm. And that's great that there's a healing group of 70 and it felt good.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Community can be very transformative, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we form community.
Yeah.
I'm going to say awesome. People might not understand that piece, so I better clarify.
Congrats.
So crying is a great way to process energy.
Process and release.
Right? And so it's a good thing. I celebrate when people talk because it means they're processing the energy that they need to process. So, yay!
Yes.
Just thought I should clarify that. So,
yeah, we're not masochists or anything like that.
No, we're not gonna like we're all about support.
Mm-hmm. But it's such an amazing thing to allow ourselves that space. So, we talk about it all the time, to feel our feels. And I think that's another thing about, the people who we surround ourselves with. Do we surround ourselves with people who allow us to feel our feels?
Yeah.
And to allow us to go, hey, I'm kind of bothered by this. Can we talk about it? And allow, the opportunity to work through our stuff. Right? Like, that is such an important and powerful thing.
That's awesome.
I love it. I love it.
Perfect. Yay me! I'm crying. If I was to do that, I'd stop crying because I'd be got up and trying to, say yay me.
But I'd start laughing.
I would. Yes. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I even reflect on, community in the sense of, paying attention to like my kids and their friends and their friend groups, and noticing how, the different, dynamics unfold. And, I just think it's such a beautiful thing to notice how relationships can move us along in our journey and all of the things that they bring up for us.
The challenging ones and the nice, loving, easy ones. Because we are human with our layers of the onion that need peeling and processing, all that wonderful stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. The layers of the onion. It was so funny. So my original talk, I actually was going to quote Shrek on that one about the layers of the. I didn't, because I ended up, just not using anything that I prepared and just going with whatever they said, because I couldn't.
Kind of what we do.
The thought of even trying to remember something, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
they're going to get in the way anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
We're better to flow with it.
Oh, most definitely. But I love that, right? Like that idea of, getting into the layers. And I love Shrek in doing it, because it's the onion, not, and Donkey's like, what about cake? Cakes have layers. He's like, it's not a cake, Donkey. Right? But it's just that energy too of, like onions make you cry and they can be really
Exactly.
strong and they can
Well, and they're
right?
crusty on the outside, but they get softer
Yeah.
as you get closer to the middle, right? And so that you start with the rough, crusty layers where you're like, wow. And then as you go through the layers, it's easier and easier to
Mhm.
process the energy
Yeah.
of the layers. So,
Yeah. Well, and this is the beauty of this work and our spiritual journeying and all of that. And I think that that's something that having community and friends that can hold space is such a beautiful, powerful thing because we can look at something and go, yeah, this thing really triggered me. And then we can walk with each other and go, what's really going on here? Right. And then we can actually get down to the core of what it is because we have,
five whys. Root
yeah,
cause
yeah, yeah, the five whys. Um, and it allows us to get to the root, right? As you said, root cause analysis, the root of what's really happening
yeah.
inside, right? And
And
so
what
being
really
able to have
started
people.
and what really started it all. Because, usually our
Mhm,
triggers, they're started by something way back and then they get added to and added to and added to until finally you have one spot where you're there's this huge trigger. And it's not just that particular thing, right? It's that whole bucket with the drops of water until the last drop overflows the bucket. So, as
mhm,
we work through your healing journey, you're really like taking out scoops of water so that the one drop that comes doesn't really overflow the bucket anymore.
mhm.
And that's what we get to help people with, which is fun.
It
It's
is.
rewarding.
It
It's very
is.
rewarding. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. And it's beautiful to be able to have people in your life that will hold that space for you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. I mean, that's why community is so important to me. You know, I've
mhm,
seen um, the beautiful stuff as community. Because as I was growing up, I was involved in a teen council at a community center. And as much as we had our dysfunctional stuff because we were teenagers and we were full of, hormones and all of that stuff, um, we always knew we could count on each other. And
mhm,
it was always a space like we might get mad at each other, but it didn't last. You'd end up back,
mhm.
everybody hanging out at one place again and having fun. And so
Yeah.
it was just such a beautiful experience. I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful to have gone through that as a teenager because it really did give me this beautiful sense of belonging. And that is what we try to create with our community as well, right? That sense of belonging that,
Yeah.
you know, we're all good. We're just walking each other home. That whole movie quote, right? We're just walking each other home. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. I mean, even in my practice being, psychotherapy and stuff, and a lot of times people will come and be like, "All right, fix me." I'm like, "That's not my job. It's not what I'm
yeah,
here for. I'm here to journey with you while you realize you've got nothing to fix. It's
that's right.
okay, right?"
Yeah,
Like we look at this and go, "Oh no, we're just gonna find you
yeah,
wherever you are in there." And that's exactly it, that walking each other home piece. But such an important thing. And it's such a beautiful thing to have people who will walk with us,
yeah, absolutely.
right? But if we don't, we also still need to keep journeying.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Because we're
It's a
never
beautiful
alone. Even if we are physically alone, we're never alone. The guides are always with us.
Mhm,
You always have that kind of,
mhm.
you know, that kind of support is the word I'm looking for. So the healing journey that we talk about, you're talking about that in your practice, the healing journey that we go on, or when people are there and they think they need to be fixed, the healing journey is about learning about who you are, not really about changing who you are necessarily, or not about fixing who you are.
Mhm.
We do change because every time we learn something, we change, but we don't. It's not about fixing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a quote, and I'm trying to remember exactly how it goes, and I'm going to see if I can find it really quick.
So while she's looking, don't forget to
There's
sign up
half
for
of
the
it.
community. On our webpage, we have the Twillow Lifestyle
Mhm.
Community membership page where we post new readings every week. There'll be special events.
It's the first part of it isn't on here, but the first part is, if you find the companion, intelligent, wise, loving, then journey with them. But if you do not find this companion, then go on your way alone, like a king abandoning a conquered kingdom, or like a great elephant in a deep forest, right? Allowing yourself that ability to just move forward, right? And sometimes we feel like we can't do that alone.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to, especially if we want to connect with a community that's going to truly resonate for us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So what have we got for our card today? Because I can't believe it, but we only got 4 minutes left. So,
Oh my goodness.
I don't quite know how that happened.
Have a cup of tea.
Oh, cool. What kind of tea? Chamomile, maybe, for today.
I like a Bengal spice.
Or peppermint.
Oh my god. Oh, that's a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
Tension tamer. It's another good one. Chai.
Chai, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think tea with friends is a good idea. What does
Tea
our
with
tea
friends
look
is a fantastic idea.
like?
Well, let's read what
We've
it
got
says here.
tea.
So here we go. It says, have you been worrying too much? It's time to slow things down, grandchild. There is nothing like a steaming hot beverage to ease your mind when you are worried or fatigued. Don't forget the simple things in life, for they do more for your body and spirit than any modern convenience. Heating water over a sacred fire is soothing, and is as old as the love between Father Sky and Mother Earth. Be present to this ancient tradition. Receive the ingredients of warmth, love, and comfort that are hidden inside the sacred plants. There is potential for communion with the sacred feminine in 1 cup of tea. Just become present. Enjoy the feel of your favorite mug in your hands. Honor the dried plants for its flavor and nourishment. Send gratitude to the gardener, be it Mother Earth or your local farmer. Bless the waters of life that sustain you and the sacred fire that gives you warmth. Now let your worries fall away as you experience a community of loved ones sharing tea with you. Enjoy it fully. That takes community to a whole other level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it also talks about being present.
Mm-hmm.
So be present with your communities, right? And we had a tea for two, two for tea.
Mm-hmm.
Ocean Garnet says they just learned to do that too, which is referring to this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We do have community tonight for those who are local. We have Enlightenment Evening
Oh, yay!
tonight, so at 7 o'clock. So we have that. You can sign up online or just reach out. That is tonight in like an hour. So yeah, I'm excited. We're getting community going on here. It's fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. What have you got going on this week, Jen?
I do not have anything other than this going on this week. And that is okay.
That is okay. We had a big thing. So we have tomorrow night is a new moon for all of those that want to watch the moon cycle, right? All about new beginnings and all of that stuff. Yeah, and I have a fairly quiet week this week as well. I had a busy one last week, so this week's a little quieter, so that's okay too. And because we've got a busy weekend with the holistic healing fair, so yeah,
It might be worth having a cup of tea with the new moon.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely, yeah.
And setting some intentions
To that.
to
Beautiful,
embrace more community.
absolutely. Thank you, Rossi. I hope to. And I guess that brings us to the end of our hour. Things that are coming up. Maybe we want to talk about things coming up. Is there anything coming up that you want to talk about? Because I know we've got lots of classes that we're working on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in a couple weeks, I'll be on with Gerald again, but that's in a couple weeks. So I'll talk about that the week before again. And so we'll be doing the human design stuff. And I was actually thinking about it because we've been talking about bringing a human design course to Twillow. And for those of you who maybe haven't seen the show with Gerald, I have a coloring book out now. And I was actually thinking that that would be a really cool thing to add to the curriculum for the course, to really journal through learning and understanding all about the basics of human design. So, yeah, I think we're getting a lot closer to being able to launch that. So,
yeah, exactly. You have your workbook now.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from someone who has it. You said it before.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're working on that. We're still working on the warrior training. So working through that, and a galactic shaman program is in the works for later this year. So there's lots happening here. And you know what? We also want to put the call out to you guys. If there is something specific that you would like to see in terms of training, please let us know. Okay? Because that's how we can plan our curriculum. If we know what the community wants and we know what you guys want to learn and want to delve into, you know, we've got a whole group of really talented teachers with all their different specialties. So just let us know and we'll curate some classes for you guys, because that's what we love to do. Okay?
Yeah.
So you can reach out to me at tanis@twillowlifestyle.ca, or Jen. What's your email? I don't have it here.
Yeah, Jennifer at myholisticself.com.
Okay, it is. Okay. There you go. So you can reach out to either of us and let us know what you'd like to see, and we shall work towards classes for you guys and put them in. All right. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you all. Please like and subscribe before you head out so that you get to know when our next one is, which will be next Monday at 5 p.m. And we're looking forward to seeing you then. All right.
Yeah. Oh, and you mentioned, I think you mentioned the group and the card readings and.
Yeah. So the membership group, you can sign up for a free membership, and we do monthly card readings. New ones there for Mayera, and stay tuned for some other events that we're going to plan over the summer for members only. So if you want to be involved in those, go sign up to the membership. It's right on the twillowlifestyle.ca. And we're always coming up with great ideas to put in there. So stay tuned. We'll see you all next week. Have a good week, everyone. Lots of love.